Every single day, thousands of Americans open up a compound interest calculator, punch in their modest savings, look at the projected numbers, and feel a brief, intoxicating rush of hope. Then they close the tab, look around at their actual life, and feel significantly worse. And today, we are going to tear apart the biggest, most aggressively sold lie in personal finance: the idea that saving $1 million is your ticket to early retirement. You've seen the videos: how to retire by 40, the magic of index funds, just stop buying lattes and you'll be a millionaire. These videos aren't technically lying about the math is real, but they are lying by omission. Because what they don't tell you is that $1 million today is not the finish line. In fact, if you try to retire early on $1 million in modern America, you are walking straight into a financial hostage situation. We are going to run the real math, not the fantasy 10% returns that sell courses, not the 4% withdrawal rule that was built for the 1990s. We are looking at actual, brutal current data. I'm going to show you the hidden bills that will eat your nest egg alive and why extreme frugality is a trap. But I promise you, if you stick around until the end, I'm also going to show you a completely different framework, one that actually works for people making median salaries. Grab a coffee, settle in, let's do the math. Let's start with the holy grail: $1 million. If you hit this number, the standard advice says you can apply the 4% rule. The 4% rule comes from the Trinity study, which basically says you can withdraw 4% of your portfolio every year, adjust for inflation, and never run out of money. 4% of $1 million is $40,000 a year. Let's pause right there. If you retire at 40, you are looking at living on $40,000 a year for the next 40 to 50 years. Have you looked at the cost of living lately? That $40,000 is before taxes. It's before the roof over your head. In most American cities, a median one-bedroom apartment will eat up $20,000 of that immediately. But it gets worse. The 4% rule was stress-tested for a 30-year retirement. If you retire at 40, you aren't funding 30 years. You're funding 45 or 50. Modern financial institutions like Morningstar have recently updated this math. Looking at today's expensive stock market and low-yield bonds, they suggest a safe withdrawal rate for an extended retirement is closer to 3.3%, $33,000 a year. That is what your $1 million mountain buys you. You spent a decade or more aggressively saving, skipping vacations, driving a beater car, and missing out on your 20s just to buy yourself a permanent lifestyle of near poverty. You didn't buy financial freedom. You bought yourself a very strict, very stressful budget. But let's pretend you are incredibly frugal. You own a paid-off cabin in the woods. You grow your own vegetables. You can live on $33,000 a year. Now we introduce the absolute destroyer of early retirement plans in the United States: healthcare. When you work a corporate job, your employer subsidizes your health insurance. It's a massive invisible benefit. When you retire early, that vanishes. You are decades away from Medicare. You have to go to the open market. Let's look at the numbers. For a couple in their early 40s or 50s, a decent silver-tier healthcare plan can easily cost $1,500 a month out of pocket. That's $18,000 a year. You now have $15,000 a year to pay for property taxes, food, utilities, car repairs, and maybe, just maybe, a movie ticket. This is what I call the leash. The American healthcare system is inadvertently designed to keep you employed. Insurers want captive pools of corporate employees. Corporations want employees who are too terrified to quit. Nobody in the system benefits from you being free. So when you hear influencers telling you to just quit and live off your dividends, ask them who pays for their emergency appendectomy. So how are people actually doing this? How is the guy on your feed doing it? He isn't doing it by cutting out lattes,
The absolute worst advice in the personal finance space is the hyperfixation on extreme frugality. Frugality has a floor. You can only cut your expenses down to zero, and realistically, you can't even get close to that. You have to eat. You have to have shelter. But income has no ceiling. Let's talk about the median American household making about $75,000 to $80,000 a year. If you want to invest $3,000 a month to hit your FIRE goals, you have to basically starve. It's a miserable existence. The people who are actually retiring in 10 years aren't median earners who budget well. They are high earners who pretend to be normal. They are making $180,000, $250,000, or $300,000 a year as software engineers, corporate lawyers, or successful creators, and they are living off $60,000. Hear me clearly. If you want to build massive wealth fast, you cannot budget your way there. A $20,000 raise that you invest entirely is infinitely more powerful than spending 3 hours clipping digital coupons to save $15 on groceries. You need to focus 90% of your energy on increasing your market value, upskilling, job hopping, or building a scalable side business, and only 10% on cutting expenses. This all sounds incredibly depressing, I know. You might be feeling like giving up, but don't. Because the traditional idea of retiring at 40 and never working again is flawed anyway. Human beings aren't built to sit on a beach for 50 years. We need purpose. So let's change the goalpost. Instead of trying to buy a finish line, let's buy a floor. Let's talk about Coast FIRE. Imagine you aggressively save in your 20s and 30s. By age 35, you have $250,000 invested. If you never put another dime into that account and it grows at a historically conservative rate of 6% after inflation, by the time you are 65, that money will be worth over $1.4 million. You are done saving for retirement at age 35. Think about what this does to your life. From age 35 onward, you don't need a high-stress corporate job to fund a 401k. You just need to cover your day-to-day bills. You could take a lower-paying job that you actually love. You could work part-time. You could freelance. This is the real secret. You don't need to save $1 million right now. You just need to save enough to let time do the heavy lifting, removing the fear of elderly poverty.
And if healthcare is still an issue, there's Barista FIRE, taking a low-stress part-time job like working at Starbucks simply because they offer health benefits to part-time workers. You work 20 hours a week, you get your insurance, and your investments grow in the background. So, let's build your actual roadmap, not the fantasy one, the real one. Step 1. The match. Take every single dollar of your employer 401k match. It is a 100% immediate return. If you leave it on the table, you are effectively taking a pay cut. Step 2. The antidote. Max out your HSA, health savings account, if you have a high deductible plan. It is triple tax advantaged. It goes in tax-free, grows tax-free, and comes out tax-free for medical expenses. This is your shield against the healthcare leash we talked about earlier. Step 3. The income pivot. Stop trying to save $5 on a subscription and start figuring out how to make an extra $1,000 a month. Upskill, get a certification, negotiate your salary. Change jobs every 2 to 3 years. That is statistically the best way to see massive salary bumps in the modern economy. Step 4. Coast. Find your Coast FIRE number. Front-load your investments while you have the energy, and as soon as that math hits, take your foot off the gas. Trade money for time. The traditional American dream of working until you're 65 is broken, but the internet's new dream, retiring at 35 on $1 million, is a mathematical illusion for most people. The truth is, it's somewhere in the middle. It's about building enough of a safety net that you stop making decisions out of fear. It's about getting to a point where your boss doesn't own your soul, where a medical bill doesn't bankrupt you, and where you actually have a say in what you do on a Monday morning. Forget the $1 million finish line. Build a floor. Then go live your life. If this video helped you see through the noise, hit the like button so the algorithm shares it with someone else who is stressing over a compound interest calculator right now. Subscribe for more honest money conversations, and I'll see you in the next one.